right, hello everyone, and welcome to the very first podcast that we are hosting in our new podcast room. My name is Travis Grenier. I am the video marketing director here at Alliance Group, and with us today we have our resident social media expert, Alex Spicer. Alex, good to have you on today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you could join us. Alex is from Utah, and he's been running the Alliance Group. A lot of our larger ad accounts and things like that he's been handling. Actually, on that, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do in the realm of social media?
That's right. So just so you all can know me real fast, I am the Alliance Group residential expert of social media. I've been doing this for 10 years, social media marketing for 10 years. There's a lot of experience under my belt working with small companies to multi-billion-dollar companies, actually. So I am trying to at least, would it be okay for me to say that anything we talk about here, I'm just trying to be very honest and very straightforward?
Yes, okay. Yeah. I would hope
I don't want to come off as blunt or rude or anything, but sometimes it can come that way because I can be sarcastic.
No, it's fine. That's why we wanted you in here today, just because Alex, he is downplaying a little bit. He's a ton of experience working with multi-million-dollar budgets, and he has, we've been working with him for a little over 2 years now, I think. Super excited to have you in the studio today just to pick your brain about social media and kind of have you answer a lot of the FAQs that we get.
I'm excited to be here. So let me just jump into a common scenario that I face all the time.
Okay.
With people of any industry, especially in the life insurance industry. Mm-hmm. So they always ask, how do I get my social media presence going? Should I do the business page or the personal page? And to be honest, it's going to come down to what traction do you already have on a business page if you already have a business page? And if you don't have a business page, unless you are creating one as for a whole group of agents and there's a lot of manpower behind it, it typically is not worth building a business page.
Right.
And especially the way the platforms work now. So in the past, it used to be very advantageous to have a business page and you could just post regularly and you would organically grow. That's because in the past, the big tech companies were not as greedy and they really rewarded you for interacting on their platform positively. Mm. And then they found that people were what they called gaming the system, which I'm like, if you put in the work, I think that's not a bad thing, right? Like you grow. That'd be like the government. Every time you find out your business is growing because you network, it's like, well, we're gonna illegalize networking or something. That's kind of what it's like. And because of their drawback or that drawback, that hindering of people's pages from actually growing organically. Now you can put in all those same efforts on a business page, and it's not going to get you the same. You're not going to get anywhere near as far nor the same results because they are literally capping how many people see your posts on your personal page and on your business page. But especially the way business pages are restricted, it's going to be way hard for people to actually want to follow you. They might like your post, they might interact with it a little bit, but actually follow you for updates, that's also something very few people are into nowadays.
Right, and you're essentially starting from ground zero when you're starting a business page too, right?
Yes, if you're starting it, that's why I'm like, don't start the business page.
Yeah.
Go to your personal, because there's the advantages of personal of an existing network, meaning your group of friends. And the platforms will still be like, oh, you may know this person because you're associated with this person. And so it becomes easier to grow your group of friends and your network there, and you treat your personal page as a business page. And also, people are attracted to that now. There's a great trend towards having a lifestyle type of business. If you can make what you're doing feel like a lifestyle, meaning, I guess there are some specifics as to how you portray yourself, but what I mean by lifestyle in this context is, if you can make it look like you are doing a good job at converging your personal life and then occasionally bringing in your work life, showing that you are an expert in what you do, but you're just a happy-go-lucky person, you're living your life, you're not trying to be like, buy my stuff, submit your information, right? Like, you're not trying to sell.
Yeah, because that works.
Yeah, that works great. People like to see that. They like to feel comfortable because you are just so yourself.
Right. Right, and I think that's a good segue into what I wanted to talk about, which is like the two different kinds of posting that you should do on social media, like on your personal page. So the two that I've really seen that have really connected with our agents' audiences is there's one which is like the recruiting type of approach where you're promoting your lifestyle, like, oh, look at these cars that I drive, look at this, vacation that I'm able to go on because because of the job that I do, it affords me this lifestyle. And, that naturally recruits, that naturally attracts people who are like, oh, what do you do? How do I do what you do?
Yeah.
And then there's the other side, which is kind of the educational side where you want to sell to your not book of business, your friend list or your contacts.
You're looking for customers, not agents, to sign up underneath you. And when we say like you're looking to sell, I mean, just like I know you already know this, but to clarify for those listening, you're not selling. Mm-hmm. So going back to making fun of people like, yeah, buy this now, sign up, like you don't ever do that. What you are doing is it's the difference between are you selling a lifestyle to recruit or are you guiding to convert?
Right.
And honestly, if you go the route of guide to convert and eventually you grow so big that you are looking to recruit, guide to convert will also recruit as well. You don't have to go like, well, I've been doing this for 5 years or however long and I've been really successful, but now I've got to go full Ty Lopez, right? And be like, see this book? I'll really read these books, right? So this is my car, this is my house, right? Like you don't have to do that. Something that we talk a lot about so I often will talk to and associate with people who are also social media experts, and something we like to talk about is how easy it is for people to be inauthentic. Yeah. And they're trying to be something else and be something they're not, and that really turns people off. And if it attracts people, usually it's a very short-lived sort of a stint.
I've seen that a lot.
Yeah, and ultimately, in the end, I find that. I mean, you can have a tough skin, but do you really want people to perceive you as arrogant or whatever else, right? When that's not you. Now, if you're being yourself and people make those comments, that's water off your back because you're like, I don't care. I'm being myself. You clearly have some insecurities. But if you're trying to be like, yeah, bro, like but that's not you, and people say that to you, it's going to hit you really, really hard to your core, and then you're going to want to change the way you're doing things. But the problem you run into there is like that can be a good thing, but you're constantly rebranding yourself then if you do that. And that's a lot of work to rebrand yourself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So be authentic from day one.
Yeah. You are your brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're being something else, you are creating a brand that you can't sustain. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of great books about marketing, and a lot of them will say the same thing, especially if you read anything like Gary Vaynerchuk, right? He'll talk about like you need to be yourself. And be true to who you are because people will sense inauthenticity.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's especially true within the realm of life insurance in general is I think some of our top agents will be the first to tell you that, their clients aren't necessarily buying the product, they're buying you.
That's right.
So so I think that you really need to keep that in mind when you're making content for social media. And
you said that perfectly, right? They are buying you. And that's exactly that's the whole point of what social media is doing for you. It's for people to buy you. They're not trying to be like, oh man, I need some life insurance. Any person will do, right? Like instead, they have followed you, they engage with your content, and they're like, this seems like someone I can relate to. Oh, he's got a family? I've got a family, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, he loves going to Cabo? I love going to Cabo.
Right.
Things like that. And because you are a human being to them, and you are relatable, and they like you, they now have bought you. Now when it comes to physical dollars, and they get to a place in their life when they are finally ready to convert, you will see a return on your investment into social media eventually, and it can be very, very powerful. And people who look at it now who are not yet in the race, they will get caught up in being like, well, so-and-so's doing this, and they're like turning over profit like crazy. And I always ask them, how long have they been doing it for? Mm-hmm. And what did they do to get there? Odds are they have done so much more work and put in so much more time than you ever have. And not to say that you haven't put in time and work, but the fact is they've probably put in thousands of hours to your dozens of hours.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. You should think of it more as planting seeds, and it's definitely not an overnight thing. This is a long game. The social media advertising, as far as life insurance and sales in general go.
Yeah.
You got to put in the time. It's I think I told you earlier. It's marketing on social media is like building a snowman in the summer. where it's just constantly melting, and you just need to put in the hours. And eventually, maybe if you work hard enough and you put in enough consistency and effort, you might be able to get that snowball rolling down the hill. Right. But it's very difficult to get that traction in the beginning.
And let's focus on branding for just a moment, right? To help you conceptualize branding, like just how it kind of works. Think of the largest brands in the world. They obviously have ads going, and we're not talking about ads right now, but they obviously have ads going where they're trying to directly acquire a sale. But they also have ads going where they are purely just trying to make their brand relatable to human beings. They will also have their organic social media presence going on, and they will take ideas from that or boost that. But to be honest, they are putting in time and effort and resources just to keep top of mind and just to build a relationship with people. That way, when eventually overweight Charlie sitting on the couch there finally decides he wants to work out, he's like, well, I want some Nike shoes and maybe some Nike workout clothes, because that they have appealed to me in such a way to where I want to wear that get up. I'm going to feel most comfortable. I don't feel like I can be a workout person and change my life in this way unless I go the Nike route.
Yeah.
And it's the same with your agents though. So people will say, because they are literally changing their life, they're going to introduce something new, and new always scares people. That's why you're trying to make them comfortable with you, because if they trust you, they will allow you to guide them through the new. Because new will scare people away. So if you can guide them through the new, then in their minds, they can't make this change. They can't do the new unless it's coming from you.
Yeah, that's really well put. It makes me think of those, like Coca-Cola, for example, has like half of their ads are, about their soda, and then mainly they're all about families just being families and having fun. And it has nothing to do with soda.
That's exactly right.
But they're just trying to say that we are a family company. We're a brand.
It's all over that place. I mean, Coca-Cola is the number one brand in the world. It is the largest, most recognized brand across all nations.
Yeah, they're doing something right.
Yeah, they are.
So, and I think that's a good point too. Is find brands that you know and like, and see what they're doing well, emulate that, and then also see what they're not doing well. And that goes for like your competition and things too. Other agents out there that are doing very well posting on social media. See the things that they're doing really well, learn from that, and apply that to your own content. And then also find their weaknesses and their shortfalls, and really, punch in there too, because that is an opportunity.
Yeah, and what obviously we don't mean by that as in you call someone out and be like, this guy ain't so good at this, but look at me, right? That's not what you're saying. What we mean is, when you look at what someone else is doing, sometimes all it takes for a competitor to succeed is just to do the one weak point of someone else better. Just say, that's their weak point, that's not mine. So for the best example I like to give is, if you have two e-commerce companies, and one is let's say one is twice as big as the other, and they so one drives $100 million in revenue per year, the other one drives $50 million in revenue, but the $100 million person, they don't take care of their customers very well. They have crappy customer service. They're kind of like, sold, bam, you're done, screw you. But the $50 million one, they're like, you know what? We sell a very similar product. We're very similar in style, but I'm going to take care of my customer base. What you will see, and I know this, I'm speaking from direct personal experience here, not even that long ago. You will see the $100 million company sometimes flounder, while the other one rises and does so much better, because they found the weak spot that really drives people away ultimately. And say, well, I'm going to do this better. So if we're talking about content, people, maybe you go, man, this guy makes really great content. I like what they're doing there. But then you start to see a trend that maybe not so many people like his content, or there's comments like, dude, you're so fake, or you're like, stop selling me stuff. And you realize, okay, what about the content do I like? And how do I avoid being salesy like this guy? He's being too salesy. I should not do that, but I should definitely, he has quality content. I should try to create content of similar style, but I'm going to leave out the salesy part because I'm here to guide, not to sell. Just by standing out in those ways, you're going to eventually win over more people. It happens all the time. Markets rise and fall or companies rise and fall because someone will pick up on what someone else is not doing well enough, and they will start doing it.
Yeah, that's really well said. And I just want to reiterate that point: guide, not sell. I really think that that's huge, especially in, you know, what we say with selling life insurance and on social media is come at it from more of an educational standpoint rather than, you know, buy this product, just buy.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. So what I want to get into as well, and I know that you have a lot of experience with this, is the elephant in the room, which is paid advertising on social media. So many of our agents come up to us and they just say, I've got some money to spend. I just want to throw it at this ad. I've got $50 here. Why don't I throw it here? Why I spent $1,000 on this ad and I didn't get any leads. What's up? Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about that kind of strategy?
Let's start at level one. There's really only 2 levels here. Let's start at level one. Level 1 is boosting posts, right? So social media platforms, not just Facebook, not just Instagram, but they all will do this. They'll be like, do you want to boost your posts? $50, so many people will see this. And they usually will do that like right after you've posted something, or sometimes they will indicate that on your best performing post based on certain metrics. I would never put money towards anything unless I know for what purpose I'm putting money into it. So what I dislike about those nudges by social media platforms is that they don't give you much of an expectation. They're saying, you'll get more engagement, but really what people emotionally are hearing is, I might get a sale, I might get a lead, or I'm going to get tons more followers.
Exactly.
None of which are promised, none of which will happen. I'm going to promise you none of which are going to happen. However, doing social media is to win major gains in the long term. So if you're looking for major gains in the long term, that means you do need a larger following. You do want more engagement, because more engagement can lead to a stronger core audience, and also them sharing and growing your audience in that way. So when you have a post, let's say you posted last week, and for some reason that post last week is still getting traction, and you've done 5 posts since then, I would go back to that post and be like, okay, I'm just going to put $10. It doesn't need to be 50, 500, or whatever. Start very, very small. And their boosting post audience targeting options will be pretty limited, but you're not trying to be an advertiser. You're just trying to grow your base because you're looking to be an authority in a place where everyone is congregating and have those major gains in the long term. So you put some money into that post, you boost it, and let's say you get some more engagement, and that engagement creates a greater core following, because more of your followers, believe it or not, less than 5% of your followers will see your posts. Unless you can get very creative with being engaging and stuff, and other times you have to be a phenomenal social media influencer for more than 5%. But organically, unless they're coming to check you out for the most part, less than 5% are going to see it. So maybe you boost that and you get 10% of your base to see that post. That's good, because what good is an audience? What good is a following? What good are all those friends if they don't give 2 craps about you? If they don't know what you do and they have no relationship built with you, it doesn't do you any good. So in that sense, it is important to invest here and there. But once again, also don't just post something and been like, dude, I feel so good. Like that video was the best. But the thing is, you just posted it. You don't know if it's the best, or it's been up for a day, and you just like, I'm going to boost it because I feel so good about that video. Don't. Because you're boosting it because you have no data. You're just going off of a gut feeling. You feel good about it. Something as a marketer I have to remind myself over and over, and this is what the best marketers do, is that we try to be data-driven and not emotion-driven. Because it can be so easy to be like, oh, I just feel like this ad's going to do so well. And when it doesn't, we try to find reasons as to why Facebook is effing with me and the other ads are not working. It's like, it can't be this ad. It's like, and really we just have to admit, okay, all these metrics say this is a crap ad. I'm sorry you loved it so much, but move on and make something that people care about. So that's important too. So boost things that have data behind it to say this is probably worth putting a little bit of money behind, and just do it occasionally. But don't be like the person who goes to Vegas with a couple of quarters in his pocket being like, dude, oh, dude, I could just stick the quarter in there and I pull the lever and I'm going to get something. And then when you get nothing, you go, well, this was an effing racket. Like, oh, why did I even do this, right? And then that can cause people to give up on their efforts entirely. And that's just sad because this is something that is really needful for your business.
Right.
I'd never want you to give up on it. So don't set yourself up for failure. Don't do dumb things. Burn yourself out with too much posting or put in all this money on boosting a post and thinking you're going to get a lead out of it. I'm telling you right now, you're not going to get a lead out of it. But later on, those people may become a lead. That's the important thing. Going on to the second level though, so that's boosting posts. Second level of advertising is like legitimately going into the Facebook ads platform or whatever platform you're on.
A lot deeper dive.
A lot deeper dive. So back in the day, it was possible for you to get in there. You could just kind of figure it all out, be that entrepreneur. Like, I got this. I'm going to just sweat equity into this. I'm going to make some things happen. And then you could, because Facebook was very cheap. All the other platforms were also really cheap.
Old days.
It was great, right? The targeting was spot on. You could get great results, and that is not what it is today. If you know anything about the iOS update and how data is now being parsed and redacted, first of all, targeting now is much more minimized. It's nowhere near as good. It takes much more money to get a result. And something that people don't realize is when you are marketing, when you are advertising, you are constantly learning. You're constantly trying to find out what ads do people resonate with, and then you got to make new ones because eventually those ones get old. Also, what audience are you targeting? Crap, the first 3 audiences I tested are bogus. Got to go with a new one. And everything I just described there is dollars. Every hour, every day that you are figuring this crap out is dollars spent. I don't want to say dollars wasted, because if you are in a place to do this and you are truly invested in doing it right, none of that is dollars wasted, because you are going to figure it out if you have a good advertiser. If you are not an advertiser, I'm going to tell you right now, you're probably not going to figure it out. And I don't think it's worth your time trying to figure it out. It's much better to find an expert who can do it for you.
Things change all the time anyway. So even if you did become an expert on the things right now, they're going to change next week. So you have to become an expert again.
Yeah.
So.
It's more like, okay, which knives would you rather be, would you rather keep sharp?
Right.
The knives that will secure the sale and earn you dollars, meaning like you be really good at the life insurance, like getting people to want to sign up. Or would you rather be really good on the marketing side, but then now you have leads and you've lost the skill and ability to sell them? Right. It's much better to outsource, to find someone who can do that for you.
So you're not exactly saying don't do this, or are you?
I'm saying don't do it personally. If you are not an expert, don't do it personally. Mm-hmm. And only not because I'm like, oh, come work with me. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm not advertising myself. What I am saying is you will find it to be a abysmal disaster and waste of money and time.
Yes. That's the last thing we want you doing out there is to waste your own hard-earned dollars when there's better ways to do it.
If you let's say if you think you are in a position to do ads, right? Very few people are. Most individual agents are not, unless, man, they've already killed it at the social media side. They've been doing it for a long time. They have plenty of money they want to throw at it. Then I'm going to say, be prepared to have a pretty strong budget. I always like to recommend be willing to spend at least $5,000 a month in an ad spend budget. You may not spend it all, but you better be willing and ready to if you need to.
Yeah, that's not nothing.
Yeah, that's not nothing at all. And that doesn't even include how much you're going to spend to hire someone who can do the ads well for you. And maybe that's 2 people because you need someone who's going to create the ads, because maybe the advertiser himself is not good at making ads, so you need a creative designer and an advertiser. Right. Usually, if you go with an agency or someone who's competent, they are savvy, or they can do it, or they have resources. But that it's not cheap. You're putting a lot towards advertising budget. You're putting plenty towards your advertiser. And then something that people don't really realize is typically on an ads platform, it can take 3 months for you to get to a place where things are optimal. So I always try to tell people whenever I work with like an agency or anything, I say, expect probably to break even your first month. And that's because I'm really dang good at what I do. And if we don't break even, also don't be surprised. It's like, what? Right? It's like, I'm serious.
It's a hard sell.
That's a hard sell, but that's exactly why I have to say that, right? Because I don't want to sell false hope, and then it's so immoral of me to be that. Like, don't worry, man. Like, you're gonna be like selling right out the gate. I got this, right? That's not
so
true.
important to set those expectations. I mean, that's what most of this whole podcast is about, is really setting your expectations on what to expect when you really get into social media marketing.
Precisely. Yeah. So it's just it can be a real tough pill to swallow. Yeah. But if you feel like you're in a position to do so, then reach out to Alliance Group. We can.
And it could be very worth it.
Oh, yes.
It can be very, very lucrative, very worth your time. But that's just what you're saying, is just you have to be very smart about it.
Yeah, we're in a world. Once again, I mean, it always happens in different spheres, but we're in that time on the social digital side of advertising where it takes money to make money. Whereas before, you could have very little money and you could just kill it. And that's not the case anymore. The big tech companies have really changed the way everything works. I've already explained how they've changed the way things work on the organic side. Even on the ad side, they have upped their prices on the way on all that jazz. And then there's all these privacy policy conflicts, etc., that just make it a terrible nightmare if you don't know what you're doing.
So much fun. So much fun all that stuff is. So, like my niece is pretty good at, social medias and stuff. You think she could run my ads?
Your ads?
Yeah.
No.
I do. We have a lot of agents who they want to hire somebody out to manage their social medias. But I think it's important to point out that a content manager and an ad manager are two very different things.
Yes, very, very different. I mean, let's say you don't believe anything we're telling you here, and you're like, well, I'm going to use my niece anyways. She does she helps me with my organic posts, which is fine, but she's going to help me with my ads. She's savvy, and she'll figure it out, right? And then she goes into it, and she figures it out, but what she doesn't figure out are some technicalities, such as how does she know when to shut off an audience because it's not performing? It's like, well, an expert knows how to do that before you spend too much money on it, right? A novice spends too much money on it and goes, well, this audience didn't work. Where someone else can be like, I can get you to spend less than $100 and I'll tell you it's not the right audience, right? Things like that. Or they don't know things like, oh yeah, Facebook is also going to have a 3-day lagging attribution window. So maybe on Friday, it looks like you got all these leads on Friday, but maybe most of them came in on Wednesday because of the privacy issue between iOS and Facebook. It's just a fun fun little roller coaster there. Sorry, I had this thought come to mind. This is totally unrelated. I'm gonna veer us off.
That's okay.
And take us off this track real fast. I remember you were sharing that once you encountered a person whom you had helped get set up on social media, and they did a video that you felt it wasn't very authentic to you. I think they were trying to follow a trend, and it was so. And we were talking about this, and I said, well, yeah, the reason why you don't do trends is because it'll turn off your core audience. Like maybe they'll still be friends with you. They're going to still technically follow you, but then they are going to not want to watch your videos anymore. And then you had said like that happened. That's exactly what happened to you, right?
Yes, and I won't name any names, but yeah, there's a lot of things like on TikTok that are going, that are the new viral trends. And to me, I don't know, maybe I feel like I'm especially sensitive to cringy stuff. So maybe I'm not the best example, but yes, I mean, what this particular agent was posting.
Everyone is sensitive to cringy stuff. Everyone to some degree.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the content was. It was extra cringy.
Extra cringy.
And
well, hold on. Let me ask you. Before you saw this cringy content, did you regularly consume the content she had put up before then?
And I was a little biased because I was there trying to because I am in this world and I like to see what works and what doesn't work. Sure. So I pay a little bit more attention than probably the normal person would.
Sure.
But after I got to the point where I was like, I can pretty much tell that this isn't something that I'm going to be learning from.
Yeah.
And it just kind of got to that point where, I've turned them off. I've tuned them out. Yeah. I still see their things every now and again, but,
well, he or she, I guess really what's happening to you is you get on their page and you're like, I'm afraid I'm gonna get smacked in the face with that thing again, right?
Right.
It's almost like someone rubbing a skunk's butt, right, and up to your nose. That's what the first cringe is like.
Yeah.
Like usually I'm sniffing flowers, but what did you just put in front of me? So it's so devastating. You don't want to go back
My defense mechanism.
because you're
just to
afraid
stay
that like
away.
you're gonna watch it and then like 2 seconds in the skunk comes out, right? So it's like I can't put myself through that again. I'm gonna stay away. And that's the thing, right? Like don't hurt your core audience. So talking about trends.
Yes.
The basic rule is do not do it. Don't do it. Like if you think you are good at trends, I want to slap you because most people can't do it. Most people we're not all that charismatic. We may think we're charismatic, but maybe you're only charismatic in a certain way. You can't be like, you know what? I could lip sync that. I could do Celine Dion, you know, and do something weird like that. But yet all of your content is more like your personal life and then with some business stuff here and there. And this comes out of left field. That can really also hurt your brand because people go, this ain't what I signed up for to watch. And maybe it's so cringy that it gets shared like crazy. I mean, you know, it does become viral because
it's so bad it's successful.
That's exactly right? It's like Rebecca Black's Friday. That was one of the most successful songs in history.
So good.
And that woman's career is destroyed. Her life is destroyed.
It still gets stuck in my head nearly every week.
I know it's in my mind now too. But I guess the underlying subconscious reason why people are like, oh, I could do that, you know, like that viral thing too, right? Everyone's doing it. It looks cool, looks funny, I could be funny, is because emotionally, what they're saying is, I would love for this to go viral. If it goes viral, I get more followers. My social media is hopping.
Mm-hmm.
And first thing you must know about virality is it is unpredictable. Like literally no one can predict virality. And people have tried to game the system. You can read books about it. You probably aren't because you're not in the marketing space. I am. I read these dumb books. Not dumb. So you can't predict it. But let's say you do go viral. Did that exposure help you with the underlying goal of having big gains over the long term? Did you gain a lot of followers that really give two craps about your actual daily content? Or are they only interested in you in this one thing, and then they actually unfollow you or unfriend you because like, oh, that's not what I want? And sometimes you'll find that when you go viral, not everyone's going to follow you. They'll be like, that was hilarious. I'm not following that person. I'm going to like it. But emotionally, you're like, look at all these likes. Look at all these comments. Oh, it's so exciting, right? And in the end, it's just a big nothing burger. It doesn't really actually help your downline. It doesn't help you grow in the ways that are meaningful. And the other downside of this is once you get on that trend high, or maybe you weren't even successful at it, but you're determined to get successful at it, you are just a cringe acrobatic show. You're, like you need to stick to the content that is authentically you. Don't if you're trying to follow the people could feel like you're a cop out. Unless that's what you're trying to be, like, and that's what you are from the beginning. But truthfully, they want someone they can relate to, someone that's cool, someone they enjoy. But if it's you trying so hard to twerk against the wall, and people are just like, oh man, last week it was Celine, this week it's twerking, next week is I just can't do this anymore, and. Not you really kind of are starting over at that point. You might have to like shut off your accounts and start up a new one, and that leads us into being authentic. Right? Like you have to be authentic.
Full circle.
Oh yeah. You have to be yourself.
Yeah.
And you should keep a balance. It shouldn't be all personal stuff. If you're using this for business, you need to do business related posts, but they don't need to be super formal. You don't have to be like, man, I love what I do. I sell living benefits, and they are the best thing in the world. If you would like to know more, click on the link in my bio.
They are the best thing in the world.
Like, yeah, they are. But people go, man, did this guy just try pitching me?
Yeah.
Screw that guy.
Walls go up.
Yeah, that's exactly right,
Yep.
right? That's emotionally what they do. They go, walls are up. I'm out of here. But if you're like, oh, like I had the most amazing experience today, and you get a picture with maybe someone that just signed up or a family that got helped because of what you set them up with. and you're like, most amazing tear-jerking experience today. I just got to share, this is a proud moment. This family came from this, and now they have this great relief, and they are a friend for life. Mm-hmm. You're not like, and would you like to know more, right? You're not really saying that. And you will naturally find people come to you, and they'll want to learn more from you. Like, oh, that looks interesting. I think I want that for myself. That may not happen immediately, but that is just at least a prime example of what a good business-related content is. And as you get better at this, you're going to be able to merge your life with work. It's like for those who are maybe spiritual and religious, spirituality for many people is a big part of their life. Yet we try to kind of live, especially on the social media form, like it doesn't exist, when it completely exists and it's a part of your life. Well, your work is a major part of your life. You spend more hours at your job than anywhere else. So how could you not go to social media and talk about work in some degree, right? You'll eventually find it's natural to do so. It's this anyways principle, right? You were doing this crap anyways. Just talk about where you're at, right? Like, oh, just flew into this conference and stuff. I hate jet lag, but but I got to provide for my family, right? Yep. You didn't even say I'm an agent selling this crap. Hopefully that your job title is in your profile there. People can see that if they need to, but they are saying like, oh, I'll see that this guy doesn't like traveling either, but he's a committed family man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that.
Yep. And that seed is planted, and I know that, that's one more touch point to say that, oh, this guy is a life insurance agent maybe, but he's not necessarily pushy or in my face, and I don't need to put those walls up.
Exactly.
So, I think it can be easy because we've talked a lot about like what not to do, and and it can be easy to maybe interpret that as that this is very difficult, or that you could be doing something wrong. But I don't think it's that's what we're trying to say. I think it's more of progress, not perfection.
Yes.
The most important thing is consistency and just starting. Your first post is not going to be your best post, and your next post is not going to be your best post.
Not at all.
And it's just more important for you if you want to become a social media, not a social media expert, but just build your presence on social media. It's more important to just start than anything else. To just get that content out there, to get your baseline going, and be consistent about it.
Because you're growing.
Exactly.
Right? Like a small little plant, let's say it's going to be this beautiful apple tree. When it's teeny, it doesn't go, man, I suck, I'm small. I'm just going to go back into my little shell and stay a seed. It's like, no, like that's not an option. Like, luckily for trees, that's not an option. So they just kind of say, oh, I have to just accept who I am. And you need to accept where you are at. I mean, it is always hard. It is like you're going to hate the sound of your voice. You're going to hate the way you look, or it's not going to feel natural because it's not natural.
Yeah.
But the more you practice it, the more it becomes natural, because it's more like social media can feel a lot like that awkward person in grade school that no one wanted to be friends with, but you felt like and maybe your mom was like, you'll be friends with him or her. Like, come on, they have no friends. They're like, oh, like I don't know how to talk to this person. It's just weird, right? Or maybe you're the nerd and you have no friends, and you're maybe trying to make friends with someone who's a jock or whatever, right? When you start off, you don't know what the heck to talk about. You're like, what do I say, right? Or maybe you're dating some really cute guy or some really hot girl, and you're like, oh, man. And not everyone is as smooth as butter. Sometimes you're like, I don't know what to say, but I know I wanted to say something. Oh, boy, right?
Been there.
That's right. So that's what it can feel like. But you don't give up on it. You keep it going, and it becomes easier, becomes more natural, and it's going to become easier faster if you be yourself.
Yes.
Don't try to be someone else. And also, it's okay to know in your mind where you want to be, like what sort of person you want to feel comfortable doing these things. And maybe you work your way there. And in the process of working your way towards being someone who can post in that way or that sort of content, you discover that really is not authentically you. And so you change your goal. That's acceptable. But don't try to force yourself to be there. Don't try to be like, all right, I'm going to talk about success because I know I should talk about success because I need people to think of me as successful. When you're like, I am successful, but I hate talking about it because that's not who I am. I'm a humble sort of guy. I'm down to earth, and to me that's that's gloating or that's being prideful, whatever, then don't do it. Who on earth said you need to talk about how successful you are for people to think you're a success? No one cares about your success.
Ruined it for all of us.
Car. Hold on a second. Let me get through this room here. This is my house. I'm lying.
Like, oh, sorry. I'm just stepping out of my jet plane.
It's just,
did I mention?
I know, right?
3 Lamborghinis.
And those people are laughable. Have you ever seen those ads where people will make fun of them? They're like,
yes.
Well, let me get out of my Ferrari. No, this ain't a Ferrari. This is a Prius because I don't own a Ferrari, but I am a good marketer, right? Like
I do like those ads.
Those hilarious, but they're very easy to comedy because or parody because people are being so like who thinks in that way, right? You
must work for some people though.
You know, it does work, right? Like that's the thing is like, I cannot say these tactics don't work. I'm just saying they don't work in the way that you, if you aren't that person, if you're not that person, right. or if you don't have the skin for it, or even especially if you have a deep sense of morality, typically you're not going to feel right about trying to portray to be someone you're not. And in the end, if someone like those sort of people sometimes can pull that off because what they're saying is, I'm going to help you build your business. But what you're trying to help people with is you're trying to say, hey, I'm not trying to help you become richer at what you're doing, but I am trying to help you. You're actually trying to convince them to spend more of their monthly budget, which they're probably like, I don't like to spend more of my budget, but you're trying to convince them to spend more of their money because it's for their own good. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't even necessarily go to your pocket. You know, they're not paying your bank account directly, right? They're paying some provider, but in order for you to be someone that they can trust to do that, and they don't feel regret afterwards, then be yourself, be that moral person. We need people that non-agents, your customer base feels intuitively that you're an honest, trustworthy person. Like people who go for the slime balls, I'm not going to name any more names. People who go for the slime balls are people who are desperate to make a profit. And so they're willing to jump into the slime pit because they know I can make a profit this way. But you're not trying to help people make a profit. You're trying to help people get something that's going to be very good for their life and their family.
Right. Well said. Well, I cannot believe it's been 45 minutes.
Wow.
We've gone a little bit over time, but that is okay because I think this is really good information and exactly what questions that we constantly get from the field on social media. So, Alex, I really appreciate you being here and jumping on the podcast. It was good having you, and we will see you around. Alex, we actually just got done shooting a full social media playbook course that we are offering on my.alliancegrouplife.com, hosted by Alex, as well as myself and Chrissy Disco of Alliance Group. So definitely check that out. That will be available in the next couple of weeks. Again, thank you, Alex.
Thank you for having me.
All right.